All right. Good evening. Welcome to another episode of The Roundhouse where the analysis is good, the lighting isn't great, and the jokes are terrible. We've got a great show planned tonight. We have Garrett Zatlin.
Hello, how are y'all doing? I think I've actually written about running more than I've actually run this week, so that's exciting.
We've got the infamous Jarrett Felix.
I was going into work this morning. The train was running really slow, and I was like, I hope this isn't foreshadowing.
And for the first time tonight, we've got Blake, and I'm not quite sure how to pronounce his last name because I'm just meeting him.
It's Baney. I'm the new guy.
All right.
That's all. I say.
Well, we're sure we'll get great stuff out of you tonight. So let's jump right in, avoid the bad jokes from Jarrett. So over the past couple months, we've seen a lot of people go pro coming out of high school after their freshman year of college with Donovan Brazier, Drew Hunter, and most recently the Lyle twins. And what I want to know from you guys is this the right move? Blake, you're their age. What do you think?
I mean, like, I was thinking that, like, either way, I think whether they go to the NCAA or the pros, they're going to get good competition either way. So I was saying that if they have the opportunity to go pro, like, I personally would take it because if they don't think going to college would have been the right choice for them, like, I don't really want to, like, disagree with them because they're probably going to be running for a living. So
All right, you can never start too early. Jarrett, what do you think?
Well, I think that's a good point. I mean, these guys are top tier athletes. We've seen other people do it before, mostly females. Mary Kane, Alexa Ephraimson, Candace Hill all recently have turned pro basically straight out of high school, sometimes after their junior year of high school. And it's had mixed results, I would say. I mean, Mary Kane's been struggling since then. She's had to do a lot of adjusting. Alexa Ephraimson's had pretty good results. Um, but I think personally, I mean, obviously, if you have the chance to be pro and your value is, I mean, the value for some of these guys might never be higher than it is right now. And if you can lock up a big contract, that's good. In terms of the ultimate development, I mean, personally, I'm being selfish. I would have liked to have seen them in the NCAA. I think that they would have had a chance to build their tactics racing against top tier competition, to be around great other athletes at great programs. You learn a lot about training from other people that you're around. And, I just think it's a great way to get used to tactics, rounds, championship style racing, and you can't necessarily do that in the pros in the same way.
All right, Jarrett with a very middle of the road answer. He must be watching the conventions this week. All right, Garrett, you're a fan of the NCAA. Are these guys making a mistake by not competing there?
Well, I think Drew Hunter is making a mistake, and I think the Lyles brothers are making a great decision. When you look at the distance runners, typically a lot of them need to develop a base. You don't see a lot of guys, go out early and without a base. Alan Webb was the exception. He ran a 3:53 mile in high school. That's pretty crazy. But we saw Mary Kane struggle a little bit. She's just starting to get to the end of the road. Well, I don't want to say end of the road, but she's starting to struggle recently, and she's still very young. Alexia Frampson running really well. Let's see how much she's able to sustain it. But a lot of these younger guys in distance running need the base. Guys like Lyles, you're seeing a lot of these sprinters run some really quick times. They're not the only guys that could have gone pro. I'm sure Mike Norman, another high school sprinter who made the final at the Olympic trials, he could have gone pro as well, but didn't. I think it's easier to develop in sprinting from a younger age than it is from being a distance runner. So I think not a great decision for Hunter, solid decision for the Lyle brothers.
All right, I'm sure we're all very excited to see how that works out, but we'll move on. Over this past weekend in London, Mo Farah silenced some of his critics by running 12:59 and also really established himself as the favorite for maybe both the 5K and the 10K once again. So my question is, if he does repeat with the double gold, where does he rank among distance runners all time, both in Olympic performance and just over the course of a career? Jarrett, let's start with you.
Well, this is a tricky question because I think that there's been different eras of distance running over the years. Just kind of like any sport. I mean, you look at even something like basketball per se. There you look at the greatest players of all time, like Bill Russell. He's from a different era, so he won a ton of championships, but there were a ton less teams. It's hard to compare him directly to somebody like LeBron James. So if you're talking about track and field, again, we have different answers, and again, I'm giving a middling of the road example. But for his era, Mo Farah is clearly the best of his era, and I would argue he's kind of going along a path along the same lines as Michael Jordan, where you can make an argument that he's the best ever. He doesn't have the stats necessarily that some of these other guys do. If you look at his 5K and 10K PRs, he's not on the Bekele level, he's not on the Geber Selassie level, but this guy has just been utterly dominant in championship racing since 2011 when he got that first gold in the 5K. He should have won the 10K too. He made a rare tactical mistake, and he hasn't made one of those since. It's now 2016. He can go double Olympic gold if he wins both in Rio. He'll have run 3:28 for 1500 all the way up to 26:40s for 10K. Really fast half marathon times. He's going to probably run a really fast marathon time before he's done as well. I mean, the guy's just a winner. He's got great range, and nobody in this era can test him. And I like to think that this era has a little bit less EPO involved in it than some past eras.
All right, Jarrett, you get 3 points for analysis, negative 3 points for answering the question. Garrett, what do you think? Where is Farah rank in the all-time list?
Well, I'll give you a straight-up answer, and that's going to be he'll be second best all-time. Yes, eras do play a role, but if you're looking at the numbers, you're just looking at number of championships, I think you got to say Bekele is going to be the best of all time, even if Farah does get double gold. Bekele has, I believe, 3 golds. I believe it was 2 in the 5K, 1 in the 10K, and another silver in the 10K as well. So all of a sudden, yes, Mafara does have 1 more gold medal than Bekele does, but you look at Bekele, and he's got just 2 world records, I believe, in the 5K and 10K. World records that are as fast as they are, that is incredible. They haven't even been close to being touched. It's pretty incredible what Bekele has done. Yes, Mofara is a winner, but I don't think he would be the best of all time. I do think that he would probably be the second best of all time. Great range, great runner, but not the best.
All right, well, it looks like we lost Blake. He still has more E-Train appearances than Joel Embiid has for the 76ers. So on that note, we'll move on to my favorite section, buy or sell. And to start this, we're going to talk about Bernard Lagat. In that 5K where Farah won, Bernard Lagat ran 13:14, which is no joke, especially at his age. You factor that in with him closing in 52 at the trials. So are you buying or selling that he has the same chance to medal as any other American distance runner? I'm talking Centro, I'm talking Jaeger, I'm talking Rupp, Jarrett.
Follow-up question. Are we also considering the women's American distance runners or no?
No, we're going to go with men.
Okay. I was just curious. But anyway, still the same answer. I don't think that Lagat has the best chance or just as good of a chance as some of these other guys. I mean, Lagat doesn't have a global championship medal since outdoors since 2011 when he got silver in the 5K behind Farah. He's clearly at a world-class level. He's a world-class tactician. But if you look at Galen Rupp, medaled in the last Olympics, I know that he didn't look great in the 5K, but he's still a powerhouse in the strength category, which I think is going to make him dangerous in the 10K and the marathon. Centrowitz, third in 2011, fourth in 2012, second in 2013, looks phenomenal this year again. I think he's definitely got the best odds of anybody for medaling. And Evan Jaeger, I think, he's got incredibly good odds as well for the steeplechase. I mean, this is a guy who ran 8 flat. There's only 3 Kenyans who are going to the Olympics, unlike World Championships where they usually send 4 because they have the defending World Champion and Diamond League champions. So he only has to beat one of these Kenyans to get on the medal stand. I think he's better than everybody else in the world outside of the country of Kenya. So I think all those guys have better odds than Lagat.
All right, same question to you, Garrett.
Yeah, no, I don't think Legat is going to be able to get on the medal stand. I think if it's a tactical race, we saw the unbelievable kick that he has, but typically the race isn't going to go quite that slow. We've seen in past races for the past couple years, it's not going to go quite slow enough for him to lay down what I believe it was a 52-second last 400 that we saw at the Olympic trials, and that's ridiculous. You just got too many guys from Africa just being so dominant at that 5K distance. Yeah, and I honestly think Centrowitz should be a favorite to get a medal. I really think he's just so tactically smart, and that 350 at Millrose that we saw during indoors, I really still can't get over that, just how strong and how powerful he was in that race. So I really don't really see Lagai having a chance to medal, especially not with Jagger and Murphy and Berrien going after the 800. So we'll see, but unless the race turns tactical, Bernard Lagai's not getting a medal.
All right, speaking of the master tactician in Matt Centrowitz, we saw him match up with Clayton Murphy for the first time over 1,000 meters in Houston this weekend. And Clayton Murphy sort of shocked a lot of the running world when he edged out Centro in what turned out to be a tactical race. And I think a lot of people in the running community anticipate Murphy moving up to the 15. This certainly won't be the last time we see the two square off. So, Garrett, are you buying or selling that this is a trend that Clayton Murphy will continue to beat Matt Centrowitz in future matchups?
Well, honestly, I think it's kind of it was an unfair matchup for Centro. I think when you look at the two guys, Clayton Murphy is a mile 800 guy, while Centro has proven to be a mile 3K guy. He's more dominant at the longer distances. So when he's dropping down to a 1K, sure, he still has mile speed to go off of, but Clayton Murphy, it was just going to win it from the beginning. I really felt strongly about that. He's shown excellent speed, and not really losing a 1500 all during NCAA's proves that he has the strength to hold on for that extra 200 meters. So I don't really think we're actually going to see them race all that often. I think Centro is the better 1500 and miler for the next couple of years. So if they ever race in a 1500 a mile, I do think Centro is going to get him 9 out of 10 times. But for the most part, I don't really think we're going to see them at a distance below 1500 again. So.
All right, Jarrett, keep in mind that Clayton Murphy is just 22, I think. In the years to come, is Clayton Murphy going to have a shot to beat Centro?
Well, I think it's interesting. I mean, Centro's in his prime right now. I don't think that there's too much argument about that. And Clayton just beat him. And it was an interesting race because going into it, I mean, I know that Clayton's got good 800 speed, but Centro's run 144 for 800, and I know that's on the lower end of his range, but I thought for sure Centro was going to win this race. I was positive. I probably would have bet money on it if pressed, and I would have been wrong. And it's interesting because Centro, we just talked about how great of a tactician he is, and he really is, but he made a big tactical mistake in that 1K race, let himself get boxed in going into the last lap, and then Murphy, who was at the front, had a unhindered path to victory there. Nobody could come up on him till about 100 meters to go. Murphy looked to his left and just sprinted away from Centro. I think that we saw a lot from Murphy that makes me think that in the future he can be better than Centrowitz. And I think maybe starting even next year, 2017 World Championships, I think Murphy's going to try to move up to the 15. He'll get a matchup with Centrowitz. If I had to guess right now, I'm still picking Centrowitz, but I think it's way more of a discussion than I thought it was even a week ago.
Yeah, I mean, all the credit in the world to Centrowitz for his tactical ability, but Clayton Murphy has the coolest head on his shoulders. I have not seen him make a tactical error in his races, so that has to be a factor with the talent for me. But let's move on. Another guy who's fresh out of college, Brandon McBride, was arguably the most consistent and fast 800 runner in the NCAA this year, and he qualified for the Olympics for Team Canada, and then in London this weekend he broke 144 for the first time. He ran 143.95. Jarrett, buy or sell that he would have made the U.S. team had he been an American?
I'm definitely going to buy that he would have made the team. I think that I mean, we've seen what Charles Jock's done so far, and he had a clutch race, so I don't want to take anything away from him. I mean, obviously, that's a high that hasn't worn off yet. But McBride's been unbelievable. He's been in Diamond League level races, running these fantastic races, and just running 143.9. Clearly, he had his mind towards a long-term goal. You'd think about when he just basically, skipped out on competing in NCAA's indoors. He just built up his strength to run the rounds and to make him a stronger 800-meter runner because he always had speed. This seems like a guy who's had in his mind that he wants to be ready for championship season, and that wasn't just NCAA's outdoors. That was the Olympics. And he looks like somebody that could maybe even make the Olympic final. I mean, the 800 is kind of a crazy event because of the way the rounds are. It's very hard for anybody to be a lock for the final, but I think McBride might be better than anybody that we sent for our team. You can at least make the argument that he's just as good right now as Barron and Murphy, and I think he definitely would have been good enough for top 3.
All right, Garrett. I know you're high on McBride. Does he make Team USA?
Yeah, definitely. I think when you look at the race, even the final for the U.S. Olympic trials played out exactly to his advantage. Clayton Murphy and Boris Berrien are guys that love to take it hard from the gun. Actually, you could argue that Murphy likes to hang back sometimes and play tactical, but for Boris Berrien to go out there and constantly hammer out a fast, hard pace from the gun really suits Brandon McBride's style. The fact that we've seen Brandon McBride now run 143 and multiple 144s, that's a really great sign, and for him to do it so consistently and for him to do it the way that he did it, I think it would have fit perfectly into U.S. Olympic trial final, and I thought he would have been finishing right up there with Boris Berrien and pretty much way ahead of the field. So, yeah, I would definitely take Brandon McBride. And I would also agree with Jarrett and say that I do think he's a heavy favorite to make the final as well at the Olympics.
Well, wouldn't that be a fun matchup in the final if we saw Boris Berrien and Brandon McBride go head-to-head?
And Clayton Murphy.
And Clayton Murphy.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our last buy or sell. In the 5K this weekend that we've talked about, there was 3 other Americans, Ryan Hill, Ben True, and Eric Jenkins. And they all finished, close to Legat, and they all have very fast PRs. I think it's 13:02 for True, 13:06 for Hill, 13:07 it's 13:07 for Jenkins, right. So they all have these fast PRs, but none of them have eclipsed the sub-13 mark. Buy or sell, Garrett, that one of these guys will hit that barrier at some point in their career?
I'm definitely buying. That's my definite answer, that one of them will do it. I think the only one that is going to do it is going to be Eric Jenkins. The guy is still so incredibly young. We just saw him fresh out of college in his first year as a pro, and he was so dominant. We saw him running some incredibly fast times at some big meets and beating out some really big names all in his first year as a pro. If anyone's going to make him a sub-13 5K runner, it's going to be Al Sal at the Nike Oregon Project. Ryan Hill, really great 5K runner. Does he have the ability and potential to break 13 minutes? I do think so, but he has to do it within the next 2 or 3 years, I think, and I don't know if he's going to be able to focus on just the 5K as well. I think he's going to make a couple attempts at the 1,500 a mile to run fast there, and unless he's consistently going to the 5K, I don't think he gets it. As for Ben True, 30 years old, just came off of a great season, but still wasn't able to get it. I don't know how much more time he has to realistically get a shot at it. I don't see him getting it. So I'm going to go with buying one of them getting it, and that one person being Eric Jenkins.
All right, Jarrett. Ben True can't cut off 3 seconds for you?
I think Ben True's best shot at it was when he ran 13:02. Personally, I mean, the 13-minute barrier is so fast, and you look at the number of people in U.S. history that have done it. It's not a long list. I believe it's Bob Kennedy, Matt Tegenkamp, Dathan Ritzenhein, Galen Rupp, Chris Zielinski, and Bernard Lagat. So it's 6 people. Those are all extremely established and well-known distance runners in the United States. Some of our best that we have. Not to say that these guys haven't accomplished a lot, but I don't think anyone's on that level yet. They're going to need a perfectly set up race. I mean, you look at the number of sub-13s this year, I think there's only 2 or 3 guys who are under 13 this year. I think just maybe Farah and Idris. I think 12:59 is the world lead right now. So it's going to be hard. You need to find the right race. I don't think that Hill has the strength to go under 13. I think he's great in a little bit more of the tactical races. He's got a great kick. I don't know if he has the strength to go sub 13. True, I think, like Garrett said, 30 years old. I think that his best running might be behind him. Jenkins, the one guy, I would agree that he's got the most upside. He's shown some good speed, but he also has great strength. He's a runner-up in the NCAA for 10K in cross country and on the track. But I don't think anyone's doing it. I think it's just too hard.
Well, I'd like to talk about Garrett's word choice. He said Alsau would make Eric Jenkins a sub-13 runner. It's a very interesting word to describe.
Well,
Alsau's
hey, you know,
training.
man, as long as Mama doesn't know, all right, she doesn't have to get hurt. So.
All right, let's move on to our last couple questions. At another meet in Europe, the 2016 Morton Games, Johnny Gregoric came away with a victory in a mile that included Colby Alexander, Kyle Merber. And if these names sound familiar, it's because they're all matching up in the Westchester mile that's upcoming. So Gregoric wins in 3:55 against a lot of the guys in the field. Jarrett, does that make him your favorite?
No, I don't think he's the favorite. He's had a really good season, though. His run at USA's was really strong. He had one of the best kicks, and he's clearly still ascending. It looks like Colby Alexander might be stagnating a little bit. I was somebody who thought he had a really good chance to be a sleeper to even make that team in the 1500, and the race, I think, honestly set up that he could have potentially made it. He didn't have the A standard, but it was a fast enough race, and he hasn't looked quite as sharp. I actually think that if I had to pick somebody to win, I would be picking Merber. I think that he had some injury problems early on, so he didn't get the same buildup that some of these other guys have had. So this longer spring season is going to kind of extend his chance to get into shape. And as the season continues, I think he's just going to get in better and better shape. He's the class of this group in terms of PRs. He's run 3:34 for 1500, and he'd run 3:35. Back in his Columbia days. He's got a great kick, and I think he really thrives in these kind of meets. I remember him from the, I think it was the Sir Walter Mile against Robbie Andrews last year. He put on his own mile like this in New York, which I had the opportunity to go to, which was really awesome. I think that that's kind of like his element. He seems like that kind of community runner. I think he's going to thrive in that race, especially with his extra training.
What about you, Garrett? Does Gregoric continue with the momentum and win Westchester?
Again, in order to avoid a Jarrett Felix in the middle of the road answer, no offense, Jarrett, I don't think he's going to win. Is he the favorite? Yes. Is he going to win? No. The race is apparently going to be very fast, or at least it's going to be set up to be very fast. I think, yes, Colby Alexander may have been stagnating a little bit, but he's still running really fast times, has dropped a lot of fast time. I really like the way that he's headed. And if it's a fast race, he's riding a high and a momentum right now that really no one else is matching, maybe besides Clayton Murphy. But that's about it. And I like Colby Alexander's upside. I like what he brings to the table, and I like that he can pretty much hang with any kind of pace, tactical or fast. And if this race is going how I think it's going to, I think he's going to be able to break away in about the last 150, and I think he's going to pull off the win with a really close race with Gregoric. So I'll take Colby Alexander. And for the record, I believe Jarrett chimed in on this. Are you going to be at the race? I know I'm going to be there.
Yeah, I'm making every effort to be there. I really want to be there. My plan is to be there as of right now. So I think it's a really cool event. I'm really glad that they're putting this on, and I think it's going to be really fun. So hopefully I'll see you there, man.
Yeah, looking forward to it, dude. All right, that's all I got.
Do you hear that, interweb? Jarrett Felix in the flesh in Westchester. What are the chances? All right, so to finish off, I just want to ask a different kind of question. This is more philosophical as opposed to analysis. Over the weekend, Kendra Harrison broke a world record in the 100 hurdle. She ran 12.2. It was a fantastic race. It was perfect for her. But what's interesting is she didn't make the Olympic team. So I want to know, would you rather have the world record or the opportunity to represent the USA at the Olympics. Now, I'm going to start with Jarrett, but I know you're a little biased as you yourself are a world record holder for the most bad jokes before the age of 30. Let's hear what you have to say, Jarrett.
Well, I think that my record's pretty safe, so that definitely makes me even more biased because I know I'm going to hold on to it for a long time. But this is a trickier question than you might think. If it was Olympic gold versus world record, then I'd be more swayed away from world record. I know that the honor of putting USA across your chest is something that's amazing. I mean, talk to anyone who's competed in the Olympics, and they'll tell you that that's a feeling they'll remember for the rest of their life. But I think a world record, just having your name in the record books as fastest person ever. And I mean, technically, someone could come along tomorrow and break your record. But to know that you, at one point in your life, were the fastest person in the world at your specific event or jumped the farthest in your particular event, I just think that that's kind of the pinnacle of what we all strive for in the sport. You know, everyone's out there trying to break their own personal records, and this would be the world record. So I think that would be just, it's unfathomable. I don't even have words to describe it. It's that amazing. So that's what I'm going with.
All right, Garrett, do you have words for it?
I do, and as much as like maybe I think Jared and I think a heavy majority of people would say they go world record, but if I have the ability to win a gold medal, and I do win a gold medal, no one is going to take that away from me, assuming I'm not doping, of course. But no one's ever going to take that away from me. I can hang that on my wall and for generations pass that down to my kids, and I'm going to be remembered. When someone beats your world record, and it's bound to happen with the way athletes are developing, when someone beats your world record, you're number 2, and no one remembers number 2. And that's just the way I look at it. It's a very, I guess, a harsh reality that I kind of think of. But if I get a gold medal, and only if I get a gold medal, not silver, not bronze, if I get a gold medal, then it's worth the world record because someone is going to get that world record. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I'm going to tend to agree with you, Garrett. For me, the Olympics happen every 4 years, and if you don't make the Olympic team, you have to wait so long. But let's say, you'd miss on the world record 1 year, there's always next year. That's, you have a prime, but, you only have so many chances to make the Olympic team. Plus, I think I'd look really, really good in those uniforms. So because Garrett gave me straight answers, I'm going to give him the win. I also want to hear him tee off on Charles Jacques after what he did to Andres Arroyo. Garrett, what do you got for me?
All right. Charles Jacques. Dude, I get that it's not the Olympics, bud. I get it. I get that you already qualified, that you don't have to worry about it. But you're really stressing out America, all right? It's like we have to vote for Trump or Hillary. No one wants you to see it happen, bud. All right, you're really making me nervous about going to the Olympics. We were supposed to send the top 3. I think you got a lucky day. Please don't run another 148. I'm going to be really scared. Charles Jacques, you're pulling the Andres Arroyo. Where are you at, bud? That's all I got.
All right, you're making it sound like Eric Sawinski is the Jill Stein of 800 runners.
Also, really quick, I just want to give a quick shout out to everyone who's been reading the XC Top 50s for both high school and college. We've been getting some great traffic. I know Jared can attest to that. So just want to give a shout out. Thanks for reading. Keep tuned for the top 20.
All right. Do you want to say something, Jared?
We're going to do the top 10 on Twitter. So yes. For both of our lists, we're going to do the top 10 on Twitter. So follow us at TheRealTrain11. Is that our Twitter handle?
Yeah, that's our Twitter handle.
All right, nice. I know our Twitter handle. I probably should.
Yeah, so follow us there for the top 10 on Friday.
All right, so that's all for tonight, but we have got some great stuff coming up this week, it sounds like, and I look forward to reading it myself. So until next time with the bad jokes, we are the E-Train Writers.